when we are dealing with dangerously hot temperatures like we had yesterday, and even today for that matter, it's important to look out for symptoms of heat exhaustion. It can be very dangerous and harmful to your health. So here's what to look out for and how to stay cool. Moist skin with goosebumps when in the heat. These are things to watch out for. Heavy sweating, faintness, dizziness, fatigue, a weak or rapid pulse, low blood pressure upon standing, muscle cramps, nausea, headache. These are all signs that you may be experiencing heat exhaustion and should seek getting some fluids in your body and also coming indoors. And it's not just we humans who need to be careful. We also need to watch out for our pets as well. So joining us this morning to talk more about this is Dr. Petty from Arbor Point Veterinary. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me here.
So I know a lot of people have dogs, so I don't want to exclude any of the other pets, but just thinking about dogs specifically, what are some signs to look out for if your dog's been out in the heat for too long or maybe experiencing problems?
Right. So, with dogs, obviously you're not going to see a lot of the skin issues that you were talking about with, humans. However, the things like nausea, faintness, so forth. And, here's the problem with dogs. They're always enthusiastic to do whatever we want them to do. Mm-hmm. And if we're out playing and throwing a stick or a ball, they keep going even when they shouldn't.
They're not going to tell you, hey, I'm exhausted.
Right. And then suddenly you might notice that they're confused or staggering, or if they even collapse, then you need to take action. So if you think they're in heat exhaustion, you don't want to plunge them into ice cold water. The best thing to do is to really hose off their feet and their underbelly and try to cool them down that way.
Okay.
So a couple of breeds that you really need to look out for are the short-nosed breeds. French bulldogs are very popular, boxers are popular, pugs are popular. Dogs, the main way they exchange heat and get rid of it is through panting. But all these animals have very short noses and they can't exchange it as well. So those dogs have to be especially watched out for.
So is there maybe kind of a rule of thumb, if you are going to take your pets outside, obviously you want to get them out, you want to, get them to move around, go for a walk, go to the bathroom. So is there an amount of time, especially when it's this hot, that maybe you should limit their exposure outdoors to?
That's not a bad idea. Mm-hmm. And, again, a lot of dogs that are outside, they want to stay outside. However, if it's really hot, cut it short.
Right. All right, so we're talking about dogs, but what about, are there any other pets that are vulnerable, like our cats? I mean, a lot of cats like to hang indoors anyway.
Right, and cats are originally desert animals, and they know how to handle the heat. Mm-hmm. And they're not, cats are smart when it comes to really hot weather, and they will find the coolest place and sit down.
So when do you know it's an emergency that we may need to take our dog to see the vet if they're experiencing some of the problems we talked about?
I would say the emergency, obviously, is if the dog collapses or is really just disoriented and not really, you talk to it and it doesn't really seem to be home, then that is a good time to think about taking them to the veterinarian.
And then we talk sometimes about their paws on the hot, ground and asphalt. Should they be wearing some type of pads on them?
Yeah,
because they're not going to tell you their feet are hot either.
Right. What I recommend is when people take their dog for a walk, you walk on the sidewalk and make the dog walk on the grass next to the sidewalk.
There you go. Great solution. Well, Dr. Petty, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.